So this is the first presentation of ETF Soccer Scout Report. So today we're going to talk about ZLB.TO. The full name is BMO Low Volatility Canadian Equity ETF. Before we begin, there are several things to point out. First, this is not an advertisement. YouTube creator, which is me, is not affiliated with any company. The purpose of this video is a presentation rather than a recommendation. The investment is your choice. YouTube creator takes no responsibility of your loss or your gain. Sports comparison is to help you better understand, so please don't take it too seriously. All good? Let's get started. So this is today's agenda. So we're going to talk about player's profile, what kind of player this guy is. Also, we're going to talk about why this player is a low-risk player. We're going to talk about the strength, and we're going to talk about the potential weakness. Just for fun, we're going to talk about which sports star does the ETF resemble the most. We're going to finish with other scouts report and my review. So first chapter, we're going to talk about player profile. He is a Canadian player. The code name is ZLB.TO. The full name is BMO Low Volatility Canadian Equity ETF. His position is defensive mid, but he can also play center back. It is composed with 99.14% of stocks, and those are all Canadian stocks. And now let's take a look in the diagram. If you take a look, defending and mental is very high, so he has pretty good risk management. However, he has low potential and attacking is a little low as well. He lacks creativity a little bit. However, he's a very consistent player with very small ups and downs. He has very good defending skills. What makes this player so low risk? First, let's take a look for those sector ratings. This ETF holds well-diversified sectors, and that's very important to decrease the risk. It's because if one sector doesn't do well, the other sector will cover the loss. The top three sectors are finance, consumer, defensive, and utilities, and those three sectors are considered as a very conservative sectors. Not only the sector, but the size of the company is very diversified. We have giant, we have large, we have mid-cap companies. This ETF is not to focus on the value nor growth. It is located in the very middle zone. Also, both total asset and average volume are very high in this ETF. And also low MER is a bonus, so you're not paying that much money to manage your ETF. Now let's take a look for top 10 holdings of this ETF. ZLB.TO holds stocks of essential services in Canada. We have electricity, we have an insurance company, we have gas and electricity utility, we have a retailer and a manufacturer shop as well. Those three factors makes this player very low risk. So now let's take a look for the strength of this player. The biggest strength is risk management. It has low risk and it has high return. Risk-return ratio is higher than the index. If you take a look for the image on your right, you can see that the blue dot, which is BMO Low Volatility Canadian ETF, is higher in terms of a total return compared to the average player, which is the index, the red dot. As total return is higher, the performance is also better. If you take a look for the image, you can see the blue line, which is ZLB.TO, has a better performance compared to the index, which is the average player. What's more remarkable is that it has a positive annual return for 8 years except 2018. It is not the small return. Sometimes it goes up to 30% almost. So it shows how consistent player this guy is. If we talk about the strength, we should also talk about the weakness. The first weakness I find is the dividend. More than half of holdings of this ETF is mid-sized company, which is understandable because 100% of stocks is Canadian. However, there are higher risk of bankruptcy when the economy goes down compared to mega-sized company. Also, the sector of these companies are very conservative. It means that the chance of rising the stock price is very low. In other words, we cannot generate a significant capital gain. The current yield is 2.88%, which is not too bad. However, I think it can be higher. The second potential weakness is low potential to growth. I agree, this sector is very stable and essential. However, it lacks creativity, it lacks innovative ideas. So the room for the growth of this ETF is very small compared to IT companies. Also, I should put a little question mark if this ETF follows the trend. After pandemic situation, the only stocks that recover fully is the stocks that follows the trend. For example, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Disney, etc. And this fact little concerns me. This ETF reminds me of Ji-sung Park. He's not the most fancy player in the team, but he's an essential player. He is a consistent player with great defensive ability. His price is pretty reasonable, but you can always expect a high return. And he is super underrated player. This is a 5-star ETF according to Morningstar. And here's my review. This is a great defensive ETF, and this ETF is going to perform well in any circumstances. However, the potential to growth is pretty low. Here are some suggestions. I wish the size of companies are bigger. And also I wish the companies are more international, such as AT&T. To increase the stability, I wish to add AAA and AA bonds, so the ratio can be 70% stock and 30% bond. And also the dividend could be higher. So in total, my grade to this ETF is $4 out of $5.